2020 Freemasons of South Australia and the Northern Territory Remembrance Day service. Today, through this virtual ceremony, we remember and we pay our respects to all Australians who have died or suffered for Australia's causes in all wars and armed conflicts. In particular, we remember our fellow Freemasons, some of who served in uniform for their country, some never to return. Coming to you today from Freemasons Hall in Adelaide, we acknowledge that we hold this commemorative service on the traditional lands of the Kaurna people, and we pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging, acknowledging their cultural heritage, beliefs and relationship with this land. Before we start our service, let us invoke the blessing of the great architect of the universe to keep alive in us the memories of those we commemorate today. I now invite Most Worshipful Brother, Dr. Neil Jensen, Colonel Retired, Grand Master of the Freemasons of South Australia and the Northern Territory, to give the commemorative address.
Thank you, Captain Scotland. Who can ever forget the words of Australian poet Dorothea McCullough, written during a homesick moment in England? I love a sunburned country, a land of sweeping plains, of ragged mountain ranges, of droughts and flooding rains. I love her far horizons, I love her jewelled sea, her beauty and her terror, the wide brown land for me. On the northeast corner of Parliament Drive in Canberra is a granite drinking fountain, a gift of the Returned Services League of Australia. It is comprised of 4 precision-cut South Australian black imperial granite blocks, who cannot be paused for a poignant moment whenever one reads the inscription on the top surface. Look around you. These are the things they believed in. Today, our great country will pause for 1 minute to remember all of those valiant men and women who made the ultimate sacrifice in many wars and armed conflicts to protect our freedom. Freedom from oppression, freedom of thought, freedom of speech, freedom to guide our own destiny, freedom to have governments for the people, elected by the people, freedom to have parliaments which provide forums for discussion and instruments for making laws, freedom to love our sunburnt country. We will take a minute to contemplate the enormity of the bravery of those courageous carriers of the gates to a secure future for all. It is of interest to note that it was an Australian journalist, Edward Honey, who first proposed the concept of 2 minutes silence to remember the dead of World War I. This was later proposed formally to the British Parliament by a South African statesman. It was approved and was, over time, reduced to 1 minute. King George V personally appealed to the people to join in this moment to mark the victory of right and freedom. The commemoration was given added significance on the 11th of November 1920, when a funeral was conducted in London for the remains of an unknown soldier from the battlefields of the Western Front. In Australia, in Canberra, on the 11th of the 11th, 1993, the remains of a World War I soldier, exhumed from his grave in France, were reinterred in the Hall of Memory in the Australian War Memorial. He is all of them and he is one of us, Prime Minister Paul Keating said of this unknown soldier. Generations must never be allowed to forget that more than 330,000 Australians served in World War I and more than 60,000 were killed. We, the Freemasons of South Australia and the Northern Territory, will not forget, because more than 700 Freemasons from our jurisdiction fought in World War I, and almost 10% died. There have been wars and armed conflicts since, in which many Freemasons have fought and died. Today, we remember them and all the women and men involved in wars and armed conflicts. Another Australian poet, Edward Gerard, in his poem South of Gaza wrote, "Never before those ancient hills were rent in a storm so loud, so splattered with lead, so cordite spread, nor wrapped in a battle shroud. To left and right, as far as the eye could see, on the hazy flanks the shrapnel broke in a swirl of smoke on the forward surging ranks. We forged ahead where the poppies red resembled the wasting blood of men who staggered and pitched and lay to rise no more and view the array of mates who passed through the dust away in a panting human flood." That poem reminds us of the horror of war and of courageous men going into battle with a vision of the land of their birth. These were men ready to forfeit their life to protect that vision for posterity. On this day, let us not forget that Remembrance Day takes its origin from a commemoration of Armistice Day, the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month in 1918, when the carnage of World War I officially ended. This day has now been set aside to remember all those who have made the ultimate sacrifice in all wars and armed conflicts. Let us also take cognizance of the words spoken by His Majesty King Willem-Alexander of Holland during his country's National Remembrance Day commemorative address on the 4th of May 2020. And I quote, "The impact of war lingers on for many generations. The least we can do is not justify it, not erase it, not brush it aside, not normalise something that is anything but normal, and nurture and defend our democracy and the rule of law, because only that can protect us from tyranny and chaos." We also have a great debt of gratitude to those families who battled on through peace after the last guns were silenced. Those who died in battle would want us to say thank you to them, and we do, this day and every day. Dorothea McKellar also wrote in her poem, "Core of my heart, my country, land of the rainbow gold, for flood and fire and famine, she pays us back threefold." We are all deeply indebted to those who paid the ultimate sacrifice to preserve our right to enjoy our beautiful country and its continuing privileges. And today, we express our deep appreciation and continuing reverential respect. We have, we do, and we will continue to remember them. Thank you, and may the great architect of the universe bless you all.
Traditionally, on Remembrance Day, poppies are worn. This tradition has its origins in a poem written in 1915 by Lieutenant Colonel John McCrae, who was inspired by the thousands of poppies growing across the battlefields of the Western Front. In Flanders fields the poppies blow, between the crosses row on row that mark our place. And in the sky, the larks, still bravely singing, fly scarce heard amid the guns below. We are the dead. Short days ago we lived, felt dawn, saw sunset glow, loved and were loved. And now we lie in Flanders fields. Take up our quarrel with the foe. To you, with failing hands we throw the torch. Be yours to hold it high. If ye break faith with us who die, we shall not sleep, though poppies grow in Flanders fields. They shall grow not old, as we who are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years contemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them,
Lest we forget.
lest we forget.
Because the Great War was a mad, brutal, awful struggle, distinguished more often than not by military and political incompetence. Because the waste of human life was so terrible, some said victory was scarcely discernible from defeat. And because the war, which was supposed to end all wars, in fact sowed the seeds of a second, even more terrible war, we might think that this unknown soldier died in vain. But in honouring our war dead, as we always have and as we do today, we declare that this is not true. For out of the war came a lesson which transcended the horror and tragedy and the inexcusable folly. It was a lesson about ordinary people. And the lesson was that they were not ordinary.
This unknown Australian is not interred here to glorify war over peace, or to assert a soldier's character above a civilian's, or one race, or one nation, or one religion above another, or men above women, or the war in which he fought and died above any other war, or of one generation above any that has or will come later. The unknown soldier honours the memory of all those men and women who have laid down their lives for Australia. His tomb is a reminder of what we have lost in war and what we have gained.